When it comes down to it, there's only one judge that determines whether or not your marketing and sales campaigns are successful. Do you know who that is? Stay tuned and I will share that with you, plus 5 ways that you can support that marketing and sales strategy that this one particular judge will most likely appreciate. Stick with me. Hi, I'm Vicki O'Neill, your Plateau to Grow marketer, and today I'm going to talk about why your customers are your number one priority in order to have a successful marketing and sales strategy. So, as you may have guessed, that one judge that I mentioned at the beginning, it is your customers. And the reason this is because your marketing and sales efforts, the strategy that you create together, is ultimately going to determine whether or not your prospects buy from you and become customers. So the success of your marketing and sales strategy is ultimately going to be determined by how your prospects respond by buying from you. So let's jump in a little bit deeper. To truly develop a successful marketing and sales strategy, you really need to understand who your prospects and customers are. And the best way to take that approach is to put your customers first. Your customers are your marketers. So when you understand what their needs are, what their pain points are, what keeps them up at night, you're ultimately going to develop a marketing strategy, marketing messaging that's going to help them foster that customer journey along the way and ultimately buy from you. So if you are not a customer-focused organization or a customer-focused company, and you have your efforts on just marketing or just sales or just customer service, this is a video for you. If there's one thing that we know, either through reading or hearing from other people, is that most people don't like online ads. In fact, they don't even like marketing messages from most companies. If you joined me or have watched any of the 6 live videos I created on the 6 steps of creating content for the customer journey, you'll understand that by putting the customer first and keeping them top of mind when you're creating your marketing and sales strategy, that's how you're going to be able to relate to them the most and build a following, not only from a customer standpoint, but build a following in building up that know, like, and trust factor. Every single prospect is going to want to know who they're buying from. They need to understand what you like and what values you're driven by. And ultimately, over time, by continuing to show up and deliver value, they'll eventually build up that trust that they'll want to buy from you. Why is that? It's because they now understand what they can expect from you, and you've more than likely over-delivered on customer service. Not only did you follow through and give them what they thought they were buying, but you've also been bent over backwards trying to become the best customer service company ever. And you know what pays off in the end? Customers, loyalty, and ultimately they'll talk about you to other businesses, driving more business to you. Let's dive in and go over those 5 tips to help you better understand who your customers are and how it can help build a better marketing and sales strategy. Tip number 1 is developing your buyer persona. If you've watched any of my videos, or if you've listened to podcast episodes, or even read any of my blog posts, you're more than likely come across this buyer persona comment or content before. I'm a huge believer in understanding who your ideal customers are so that you're maximizing your marketing dollars. And when you send out that message or post that image or create a story that helps relate what success a previous customer has had with your brand or with your product or service, it's going to resonate with more people like that, which is going to attract them to your brand and give you higher quality leads that lead to higher conversion and more customers that you want to have on board, your ideal customers. So creating a buyer persona can be time consuming, or you can look at the data that you have right now on your existing customers. I want you to imagine that you know or even have who that ideal customer is, and then document why they're your ideal customer. That's going to be extremely important for you to understand and build this buyer persona, because once you can identify why they are your ideal customer, then you're going to be able to create marketing messages that relate to why they're your ideal customer, which will ultimately attract more of those people. Tip number 2 is all about listening to them on social media. Now, when you've gone through your buyer persona, part of understanding your customer is knowing where they're spending time. And more often than not, they're going to be spending time someplace online, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or they're watching YouTube videos. They could even be listening to a podcast. So part of that research of understanding who your buyer persona is understanding where they spend time. Now, why is this important? So that when you develop those marketing messages, that you're going to be placing those ads or placing those messages or images or links or videos to the places where they're most likely going to see it. Now, when you know that that's where they're spending time, you ultimately will understand how often they're posting, what they're posting, who they're connecting with, and ultimately how often they're engaging with others on that particular platform. And when you can see what they're posting and engage in their content, then that helps you better understand where they are. What are the issues that they're having? Maybe it's something that they're having with your competitor, and that can help you better understand how you are different and how you can help become a better solution. Tip number 3 is creating and sending out surveys. Now, these aren't always the most popular, and I think because either it's time consuming to create, they don't want to ask their customers for feedback, or sometimes the brands just set up false expectations when they send it out. Like thinking it's only going to take a minute and it really takes 10. Nobody likes that. Surveys tend to provide valuable feedback as long as you don't send them out often and you set up the right expectations with what that recipient can expect going through the survey. Now, that can be established by saying, okay, here's the number of questions. It's going to take you only a minute to complete because you've timed it. That's key. Again, set up the right expectations. Also, look at where you're going to send this survey. Is it something that you're going to create a link and include it in social media posts just to get a general feedback from your target audience? Or is it one that you're going to send out through an email? Are you going to have a landing page that you embed the survey in order to drive traffic and then create additional calls to action that you want those individuals to take? Keep in mind that your survey needs to be as simple but as relevant as possible. The shorter it is, the higher the response rate. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. Tip number 4 is understanding what content your target audience is engaging with. This could be your content, or it could be your competitors' content, or it could just be industry-related content. The important thing is to look at your Google Analytics and find out what are those top pages or top resources or top places on your website that your target audience is engaging with. If it's your blog, understand which blog posts are driving the most traffic, the most comments, the most shares, the most link backs. Understanding your Google Analytics is going to help provide great, valuable insight into what you need to continue doing and maybe what you need to stop doing. Also look at the type of content that they're engaging with. Is it just a plain standard text blog? Or is there an article that you created that had an infographic and a video and links and stats and resources? So consider that too. Tip number 5 is understanding which prospects aren't converting and why. You can use your Google Analytics for this as well, and just understanding which pages have the highest exit rate or the highest bounce rate. Or if you've been creating content that isn't driving any type of engagement at all, that helps you understand, okay, well, maybe this isn't of value to them. Maybe you need to go back and reevaluate what's most important to them. If it's been a while since you've updated your buyer personas, that might be one thing that you need to do at this point. A lot of times we focus on what our customers are doing, what they like the most, what our prospects are converting and how often they're converting and what they're converting from. But it's just as important to understand which ones aren't converting. If you're like me, you like to know what the negative side of things are, or the constructive feedback, or what things aren't going right, because that's the only way that you can get better. The same is true with prospects that aren't converting. There's a reason why they were attracted to your brand to begin with. So that's important to understand. But understanding your customer journey and then understanding where those drop-off points are is going to help provide so much value into your process and how you can improve any gaps that might exist to better understanding how I can serve or how you can serve your customers. When it comes to great marketing and sales strategies, it's best to listen to your customers. Don't assume that you know what's best. Now, tell me, how has understanding your customers helped with your marketing and sales strategy? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, make today great.